What's up, you motherfuckers? Good to see you. Yeah. So, today I've been pondering, right? I've been having a little bit of a think, And, okay. Here we go. So, I've been thinking a lot today about books with a female protagonist that are written by males, okay? And some of the most classic heroines or protagonists, females in literature, the classic ones, have been your generic protagonists, have been an empty slate for you to project yourself on, They haven't, their physical appearance may not ever be really put into in-depth detail. Their mannerisms, may not ever be completely explained. They may just be simple, this is a girl, this is what she looks like. And then you can pretty much just interject yourself into that position. And, you can project yourself mentally into that spot. For instance, Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz in the books, they were never really... she was never really put into massive detail. You could always feel like she was just this basic character that you could be, that any person could be. She was relatable. She could just be any normal bland person. Okay, that's Frank Baum for you. You can put yourself in that position. In C.S. Lewis, The Chronicles of Narnia, you could put yourself in any position. You could have put yourself in Peter or Edmund, but you could also be Lucy or Susan. They're just simple children you could put your place in. Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland, you could be Alice because she's just so simple. You could just be her. The next one I never thought about was Coraline, and I can remember watching this movie when I can remember. A movie sinks in when you can remember where you were and what you were doing the time you watched it. I was at my friend's house. I never really desired to see this movie, really. I can remember it had a black cat in the advert, and for some reason I always visualised it with hundreds of black cats running for this movie. I don't know why. I can remember me and my friends were sleeping downstairs. We had put pizza in and was pretty much just watching this movie till the food was done. And I can remember I fell asleep. I woke up and my friend had been watching Coraline, and I think he went out to plate the food up and he was like, watch this movie. And I remember watching the first 5 minutes and thinking, whoa, what is this shit with the opening credits, And he just said like, whoa, this doll is sent by this other mother and the doll spies on the girl, and I was like, this is a kid's film? What the fuck? What's this? And I was like, oh, and the black cat's in on it. It knows what's going on, and it tries to explain everything to her. And I was just thinking, like, fucking hell, wow. I watched this film and remember being creeped out by it. I've read the Coraline book and I've seen the movie, and I've just noticed a trend with male authors who are creating female protagonists as their main character. And I discovered this myself, and I think this is why. This is just my personal opinion. This is my 2 cents, right? I'm currently writing a novel, and I find it extremely difficult, more difficult than a person should do, to write the dialogue and the actions for female characters. And it's not because I feel like they don't deserve any less time, they don't deserve any much less effort, they're not that crucial to the story. It's not that at all. It's more of, you don't want to make them cliche. You don't want them to be an insult to women. You don't want them to go, this is just like, women aren't like this, women don't talk this way, women don't do this. That's so stereotyped. You don't want to offend anyone. So men just, when we write, just make them this basic slate female character, what they can interject themselves with. Whereas, for example, in the Hunger Games, Katniss is a strong female character. She's got, she's designed, what she looks like, how she acts, her mentality, everything up to a T. But that may just be because it's in first person, you know everything about her and everything. But I just feel like, me as a person, I find it a bit harder to write for females. And I find it hard to write for males as well, trying not to make them all sound the same or sound generic, fine. I feel like you don't ever want to get to the point where you're writing something that women just go, this is not believable, we don't act like this. So I think maybe that may lend something to the story. But for instance, when I was reading the Coraline book, she was just boring as hell, and I don't know, I'm not quite understood, I've never understood why. Maybe it's Neil Gaiman's just writing style, he wanted it to be bland and normal. But, the other mother, she just seems indifferent about most things. The other mother's like, oh, let's sew the buttons in. She's just like, no. There's no real emotion. There's no power there. I'd be like, fuck no. Like, hell no, you're not, like, at least in the movie she's like, no, you're not putting buttons in my eyes. You know, in the book she was nothing like that. She was just quite passive about everything. Yeah, no, okay. You know, she just seemed quite boring and bland, like nothing phased her. So she's just like, yeah, well, this magical world in front of you, whatever. So I'm just saying that from personal experience. I feel like I can write more for a male because it's like I'm writing for myself. You know, I don't writing for a female. It's like you're trying to write for how you expect a female to be, but you spend so much time listening to how many different of them talk, how many of those speak differently, that you're kind of trying to figure out how you're supposed to project them, because you don't want to project a stereotype. You don't want them to be a ditzy blonde. You don't want them to, you don't want, if you've got one female character, you don't want them to be a bad projection of a female. You don't want them to be a bimbo, you don't want them to be a brainiac, you don't want them to be the slutty, dirty, normal girl, you don't want them to have a kid, and I just find it difficult, and I know I shouldn't, I don't even know if this point is valid, but I just feel like for me it's harder writing for a woman, especially because I don't want them to seem like this love-struck teenage girl with a crush without a developed mental faculty. So that's just how I feel. If anyone's interested in reading that book, or what I've started with it, then inbox, comment, subscribe, and I'll send you a link. It's on Wattpad. Hustle for Respect is my sign-in name, and the book is called Origins, Evolution of a Species, and it's not as boring as it sounds, but it's pretty fucking close. So yeah, I think we need to kind of step away from the classic protagonist where you have to, project yourself. At least in the fucking Harry Potter books, to me, I knew exactly what Harry felt like, but that did not stop me in any way from projecting myself into the story. And I wasn't always Harry in the fucking story because it was written in third person, but I always felt like I was there, part of it. And when you write a story, you want people to feel part of it. You don't want to feel like there's just this generic character bumbling around in this world who questions nothing, who accepts every bit of information they've been given. So I hope you like the video. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. Feel free to weigh in the comments box. So yeah, thanks a lot. See you soon. Namaste, you bastards.